What's up everyone, I'm the cartoon Physicist, and this is Noughtie. Let's take about the good, the bad, and the forgotten of New Millennium. Today is a very special review in a way. You see, I created an event on my expression in which reviewers, bloggers and video makers alike, review each other's favorite movies during January and February. Les, a musician and blogger, reviewed my favorite movie, The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. Now, I'm going to review the favorite movie of blogger/reviewer and Kai of WTF Asia. Plus, this is my first non-English speaking movie. A kind that I've been open to reviewing ever since Pan's Labyrinth has been suggested to me. Besides, Ankai's favorite movie was already suggested to me for my second movie review list. I might as well get it done much earlier than its intended date. Also, Ankai, just so you know, I'm not making jokes at your favorite movie to be mean. It's just how I do my show. Even with the best movies, I riff them. So here is my first review of a Japanese movie, Memories of Matsuko. And no, this does not mean I'm going to start reviewing anime.
Aww.
Now, I was able to understand this movie thanks to my babelfish, but since not everyone has their own babelfish tank to breathe them in, we're going to stick with subtitles. So we begin with a music video.
You know, I'm starting to think when this was played in cinemas, there would have been a lot of confused faces, wondering if they were tricked into paying to just watch a music video.
Anyway, we truly begin in Tokyo 2001, where people awkwardly dance to hip-hop, gaudy colors burn your eyes, everything whooshes by just to get to the next shot. Yep, this is set in the early 2000s, alright. We meet Sho, sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, a depressed young man who was made even more depressed by the breakup with his girlfriend, and so he tries to distract himself with the overconsumption of dance clubs, porn, and suicidal thoughts projected onto a TV.
Well, that could have been about how Japan's media saturation has grown to the point where it could even consume an everyday man's psyche, not able to escape the bombardment of capitalistic pop culture, even in one's own train of thought. Or it could just be a sign of the weirdness to come. Who knows?
Sho has finally been brought out of his downward spiral by his dad, who he hasn't seen in 2 years. He's there to ask Sho to clean up his recently deceased sister's apartment. That sister, Sho's long-lost aunt, is Matsuko. Again, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Our expectations of her aren't exactly high, as we're told her life was meaningless. Though, let's face it, to him and to most of the characters we're going to see in this film, meaningless is synonymous with unproductive. It seems that way to me. I mean, look at the beginning of the movie. Everywhere you look, the dream is seen in commercials. In your face all the time. The dream of having fame and fortune. It has many forms. But if you never achieve that dream, you're nobody. You've never done anything to achieve the dream, you never contributed to the country's wealth or image, and therefore you're meaningless. Remember, this was set in 2001, and even then, the movie was released in 2006, before the internet was mainstream, when fame was still really exclusive. The internet has made everyone matter somehow, but not back then. Back then, TV invited you as well as pushed you away into a state of disillusion.
Seriously, guys, if you know what's good for you, pause the video and grab your tissues now. It's one of those films.
Of course, we then see Sho cleaning up the apartment, beginning to gain a better understanding of her life. Well, eventually, along with some unintentional help from other people as they talked a bit about her, though they don't seem to have a lot of nice things to say about her. Although her life seemingly becomes more intriguing when Sho notices some men in black suits nearby, and when a policeman asks about a scarred criminal who used to live with Matsuko 18 years ago. What got Sho completely interested was how she wrote, "Forgive me for being born," over and over again on the walls. Now having a purpose in life, making his life not meaningless, finding out who she was. The policeman only gave Sho the facts you would find on a file about when she was a junior high school teacher. And so we finally see her, young, happy, and loving music, probably modeling her life after Julie Andrews.
Just wait.
売店の手提げ金庫から現金が盗まれたそうです。
食中に席を外した生徒がいました。
リュウ君が盗んだというのですか？
そんなことは考えたくもない。だからこそそこをきちんと劉陽一に確認していただきたいのです。担任であるあなたにですよ。一人じゃ心細いでしょ。
大丈夫ですわ。担任は私ですから。
信じてるって言わないんじゃ。
とにかく店の人はお金さえ返せば警察のためにはしないって言ってくれてるの。ね、先生も一緒に行くから旅館の人に謝ろう。
知らね
まず盗まれた1万2000円を自分で立て替え、店の人には反省した生徒からお金を取り戻し、代わりに返しに来たと言ってしまえば、盗んだ本人はそれをもう反省して。
まず本人がここに来てきっちり謝るべきだろう。本人が転んでいってる。
私が取りました。バカでしたんです。
旅館側にはこのまま川尻先生が取ったということにしておき、学校としてはそもそも盗難など起きなかったこととする。目を見せなさい。いいから見せるのです。今すぐ。
の連絡でお金を盗んだ助教師のことはどうか寛大な処置をと言われました。教頭先生に事情を伺ったところ、あなたからどうか内密にしてくれと泣いて頼まれ、やむなく報告しなかったと。
だってあの時。
しかも今朝、あなたと同室だった東堂先生から報告が。昨日帰宅して財布を確認したところ、お金が抜き取られて。あなたまさか。違
うんです。売店のお金を盗んだのは、それは多分、いや、絶対に私のクラスの生徒で、でも本人は認めなくて、それ。
先生にも同席していただきます。よろしいですね。
正直に答えて。売店のお金を盗んだのは、リュウ君、あなたよね。
僕は金なんか盗んでいません。たった今川尻先生に自分の罪をかぶってみんなの前で金を取ったと言えって脅かされたんです。
川尻先生、あなたという方。
連れて行くから。ごめんお姉ちゃん。ダメ。ダメ。
Pretty tragic, isn't it? But I swear, I didn't add the sound effects or the little tooth sparkle or the music or any of that. That was all the movie. If I did, I wouldn't have this nerd whiplash.
The story of Matsuko continues by going back to when she was a little girl in the 50s. She had a sick sister, so she never got much attention. But Matsuko focuses on the good things, and so talks about one trip to a shopping center as though she went to a ball.
And that's when things get really weird.
I walk the road where candy trees grow. We dance in the woods in magical shoes. Nobody hates the smile on my face, and everyone I say turns into music.
Whoa! That's it. I'm off the hooch. Hey, wine!
And then we get the true origins of the Gookie. I think. It depends on when you think the Warners were actually created.
久美の病気が重く、いつも暗い顔だった父の、それは久しぶりの笑顔で、それ以来私はずっとその顔真似で父の機嫌を取り続けました。なんとか父に振り向いてほしい、父に愛されたいと。父の望む学校へ行き、父の望む職業を選び、父の理想の娘になろうと努力しました。それなのに
久美の晴れ姿が見れんかもしれんな。ふざけるな。
結局私の努力は全て徒労で。
We then go back to Sho as he and Hemi Punk Guy come across the scarred criminal. Before we actually learned anything about him from him directly, we learned from Sho's dad that after the incident at the school, she was living with an aspiring writer / abusive boyfriend who makes her sell her body, making her weaker every day. He did commit suicide, getting hit by a train. And
Mood whiplash! Mood whiplash!
I mean, really? After showing a slice of life filled with abuse and yes, rape, you decide to show an upbeat musical number filled with flowers and glitter right off the bat? I mean, yes, she's finally out of an abusive relationship and with a kinda lover, but still, straight away? That would be like doing this.
Lady orderly, woohoo! She yodeled back to the lonely goat herd. Lady orderly. Soon her mama with a gleaming gloat herd. Lady orderly. What did you eat for a girl and goat herd? Lady.
Or this. Or this.
Your mother can't be with you anymore. Come, my son.
No, wait. Someone actually did do that for a film. Anyway, just when things are looking up, they tumble back down. Turns out, Matsuko's new lover is married and therefore has been cheating on his wife with Matsuko. He never actually loved Matsuko and broke off everything with her very harshly. With no one to love, she decides to sell her body herself. We see this part of her life through a glamorous musical number / montage. Just when things are looking up for her in a way, younger, inexperienced girls keep taking her place, and another attempt to mend things with her family has failed. Her life goes back down again.
I'm sensing a bit of a pattern going on.
Now she has left her old job and is in a loveless relationship with a pimp, fallen into depression. She tries to threaten the pimp for her share of the money and ends up murdering him. She tried to commit suicide, but she wouldn't let go. She still had a touch of her optimism left. We go back to Sho, who is being kidnapped by a porn star and the men in black. Apparently the porn star knew Matsuko. You see, after killing the pimp, she met a man after she tried to commit suicide in a river that was too shallow. He was a lot kinder than the other men she met, so they became lovers and she became his barber assistant. They could spend the rest of their lives together. And then she went to jail.
Why must every 11 minutes of my life be filled with misery? Why?
Although, to be fair, it's good that the film is trying to avoid the happy ending every time there's an opportunity for one. To explore more of the psyche of a woman who is always expecting a happy fairy tale ending no matter what, as well as maintain its unconventional format, make sure there's no pandering whatsoever. But it's getting repetitive to the point where it seems like the formula of a Wile E. cartoon. Some people say constant misery is comedy, which has an effect here. Repeating misery so many times is making tragic scenes seem comedic even when they're supposed to be tragic.
It's in prison where she meets the porn star, but Matsuko is more focused on being with her kindest lover again, only to find he has made a family while she was gone for 8 years. See what I mean? Lather, rinse, repeat, after, cool, repeat. Anyway, Matsuko and her friend from prison finally got to know each other better in a salon where Matsuko is a hairdresser living a nice normal life again. They hung out a lot more after that, but Matsuko eventually avoided her because her friend had a husband, reminding her how lonely she is, which made her quit her job and get trapped in another abusive relationship. She and her friend met again the day before she died. After the porn star told Sho everything she knew about Matsuko, Sho came across the scarred criminal again. He didn't know about Matsuko's death. He was just searching for her. Turns out, he's Ryu, the student that started the entire mess, the Jar Jar Binks of her life. He was with the Yakuza during the 80s, and he was actually sorry for what he did to her. And then they became lovers. But he was that other boyfriend who was abusive to her. But that abuse only happened during an argument about him being in the Yakuza. I'm not saying it's justified, I'm just glad that only happened once. He didn't hurt her after that, I think. Matsuko did find a job after the salon as a bar hostess, but he has her sleep with members of the Yakuza and being an accomplice for some of the crimes as well. And then the Yakuza went after them since Ryu gambled their money away. Ryu confessed to the police to escape the Yakuza, and Matsuko was left on her own again, waiting for him without knowing that Ryu decided it would be best for her if he stays out of her life. You get the drill. Lather, rinse, repeat. Also, he hurts her once he was out to ensure she wouldn't get hurt. What?
I'm trying to think of how to say, But that's stupid without resorting to the word stupid!
Anywho, Ryu goes to prison again and fulfills the cliche of converting to Christianity in jail. In the present, he tries to get arrested again for her. He essentially worships her rather than truly loving her due to his view of Christianity.
Huh. Now that I think about it, this film has a bit of a Madonna whore complex. You know, Freud's notion of men only seeing women as either innocent virgins to worship or seductive, sinful sluts to lust after or shun. I think this movie is trying to show how bad it is for society to rely on that notion.
When Matsuko's attempt at gaining love from her father through the Madonna way failed, she spent her life trying to gain love through the whore way with sex. Only in the end is she worshipped, but still not truly loved. While she was alive, she never figured out who she really was as a person. To her, she was either a Madonna or a whore. To her, there was no in-between or no outside. She was stuck seeing herself as the men in her life saw her.
Or I'm just pulling this analytical crap out of my ass to keep this review from being repetitive.
Besides, the police don't want him. They already have found the culprit. They don't even reveal who it was. We see who it was, some little brats with baseball bats. I don't think they needed to reveal anyway. This isn't a whodunit or anything. This was meant to be all about Matsuko, about Sho piecing together her life, while the police pieced together her death, which we see none of. Her life was what mattered. Sho finds out he actually met Matsuko before, as a child. It was when Matsuko found out her sick sister died while wanting her home, when she decided to get an apartment near the river and be completely alone. Eat and drink a lot every day, becoming more of the woman people nearby had described earlier. But then she fell in love with a boy band star she never met, desperate for a reply to a fan letter she wrote, going insane. Her cycle of misery has ended, but she has hit rock bottom. She was actually going to call her friend again and turn her life around, even if it might go back down again. In fact, this does repeat again, with her death just when she was going to make her life better. Lava, rinse, repeat.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm just not getting the film's message. I don't get why it's your favorite, Aunt Kai. The movie is a repeating cycle. I give up. The film has beaten me. I'm just going to watch Plot and Owen Citizen's review of Dancer in the Dark. That's it! This film is like Dancer in the Dark.
Matsuko is like Soma from Dancer in the Dark, both incredibly loving and optimistic women who resort to escapism and both find themselves on a path of suffering. Soma suffered because of her selflessness, while Matsuko suffered for her selfishness. Well, selfishness is kind of the wrong word. More like her attention-seeking nature. Her father has neglected her completely, leaving her to resort to a silly face to gain attention, a face that she later involuntarily uses whenever in a tense situation, becoming the clown who would make that face whenever he got hurt. When men hurt Matsuko, she would stay to fill the hole her father had dug out of her, leaving her believing she must have a man in her life regardless who he is. She's desperate for love and attention, from staying with men who hurt her, to letting commercial sex be the number one alternative to love, to waiting for a reply to her obsessed fan letter for years. This type of thinking is one of the reasons she stumbles into situations that lead to misfortune. Her escapism is a constant, rather than something that happens sometimes like Selma's. She imagines her life like a movie, which she is the protagonist. Show scenes are all done in a natural way, well, as natural as a music video director can make, whereas each one of Matsuko's flashbacks are done like a different yet vibrant movie, all of them being about her. Making her life like a movie allows her to gain attention she believes she deserves. One that unfortunately no one is watching. There is still no one giving her the love and attention. And of course, because she believes herself to be the star, she thinks all of the problems were caused by her, that they're her fault. This is attached to what the film is about. Avidya. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. The Buddhist notion of ignorance, or at least this is the gist of it. I'm not saying Matsuko is an idiot. That's not what I meant by ignorance. I meant the misunderstanding of the nature of reality, or basically willing unawareness of reality. She willingly keeps herself unaware of her true reality to remain the protagonist of her own movie, not realizing how cruel it can be to her, and that it could be everyone else's fault and not her own. That if something bad is happening to her, she should realize it is and do something about it. This film is against succumbing to avidya, because it keeps people from dealing with their problems. In other words, ignorance is not bliss. But there's a good side to this. She is giving her own life meaning. The population of this movie believes in the notion that life is meaningless. As an atheist, I do believe that life just happened and there is no purpose behind it. But me and the movie believe in one other thing. Life may not have meaning, but we give our own life meaning. Life didn't begin with the Big Bang and end with whatever it's going to end with. It begins with your birth and ends with your death. That's your opening credits and ending credits. Its purpose is your purpose. Matsuko has given her life meaning, but no one has shared it. Everyone outside of her believes her life to be meaningless because they never saw it as her movie, except for Sho and by extension us, because he followed her life through her belongings and thus watched her movie. Sho saw her life from her vibrant perspective and found its meaning, that it was meaningful. Meaningful doesn't mean happy, sure, but at least we saw what she wanted and achieved through her highs and lows. Every life out there matters. Every life is a movie. It's impossible to literally call a life meaningless. Each one of you is the protagonist. One person may not find your life meaningful or gets its tone or genre and style and whatever, but you do because you experienced it as the main character and you understand its perspective as the sole audience member. So never let anyone tell you otherwise. Also, pay attention to your kids equally, damn it!
Okay. I think I get why this is your favorite movie, Hankai. Still not really one of mine, but I get it. I say it deserves a B+, maybe an A-. There really needs to be a grade in between. But it would be that, if there is one. So yeah, that was Memories of Matsuko.
Like I said over and over again, there is a pattern to this movie. Matsuko's life gets better, then it is utterly crushed. I get it already. It's Break the Cue the musical. I guess I just prefer tragedies as moments. All the gut-wrenchingness you would need in one perfect scene where it can all sink in, not banging over your head every 10 minutes. It doesn't quite sink in over time when you realize the pattern. On the other hand, this film is pretty... I'm a sucker for vibrant colors in movies. Probably because in most of the films I've seen a while back for a couple of years, everything was grey and dark grey and light grey and bluish grey, and yes, I get it, grey makes everything bloody realistic because life is bleak. I goddamn get it. The music and the visuals have an obvious artificiality to them, but that's meant to contribute to the point of the film, sometimes in a tongue-in-cheek manner. In fact, there's a lot of points of the film. Its appearance doesn't mean it's shallow. There's so much stuffed into the film that you could have a field day coming up with dozens of interpretations. In fact, I still don't know what the recurring pancake means. It just makes me hungry for pancakes. I did say the story was a bit repetitive, but it was still very gripping. The thought of fast-forwarding it never even popped into my head. And I must admit, I teared up a little when I saw the ending. Yes, I have a heart, sue me.
It's been quite a while since I actually reviewed a TV show, so I might as well pick the first one of the year. Oh, are you in for a treat.
Be cool and smell the flower. Make love, not war and shower. Kiss the world and be groovy. Go ahead and make a googie. Make a googie.